For the most realistic steering system available on the market, look no further than Sim Steering from Leo Bodnar. Designed and hand-built at the home of British Motorsport's Silverstone circuit, it's extensively used by professional driver training centres and race teams including Formula 1 since 2010. The high precision and completely linear response coupled with high strength provides the ultimate in realistic steering force feedback. Visit simsteering.com.
Take your hobby to the next level with a quality racing rig that works great with a PS3, Xbox 360, and a PC. GT Omega Racing Simulator is compatible with a wide range of steering wheels including Logitech, Fanatec, Thrustmaster, and more. The GT Omega is available now worldwide by going to www.gtomegaracing.com.
Good afternoon everybody and welcome to ARL TV. I'm Alex Simpson. This is the Road to Pro Grand Prix Championship. I'm joined by a familiar face in the commentary box today, one Lee Thompson. Good afternoon fella.
Hello Alex, how are we doing?
Yeah, Twin Ring Motegi. We're running a little bit late, so I'm going to jump straight over to the guys at Azure Racing to take us through this week's track guide.
Hello and welcome to 4Racer iRacing Track Guides. Today we are going to have a look at one of the latest Japanese Grand Prix circuits, Twin Ring Motegi. The name Twin Ring comes from the unique feature that the track has both oval course and a 4.8 km road course. The road course isn't part of the oval course like many other layouts, but is instead completely different track while still overlapping the oval at two different places. By Japanese standards, namely Suzuka and Fuji, the track is quite flat. It also lacks any high-speed corners apart from turns 7 and 8. The rest of the track has a combination of first and second gear corners. With just two fast corners and very little elevation changes, setting up the car isn't as big compromise as it is in many other tracks. Best mechanical grip with good braking and traction performance will provide the best solution. Our driver for today is Martti Pietilä. Welcome.
Hey everyone.
How do you like this track?
Well, to be honest, it's not my favorite track, but it's still pretty good to drive. There are a couple of interesting corner exits, mainly the exit from corner 2 where you gotta be really precise with your throttle, but overall most of the corners are fairly similar to each other, so it's not as interesting to drive as some other tracks.
What about overtaking possibilities?
Overtaking here is really hard, but not impossible as we saw last year. If the driver in front makes a small mistake on some corner exit, or if you have maybe a different strategy than the guys in front, then you can maybe try to outbrake them into some of the corners. So I think we will see some overtaking here.
Okay, let's have a look at the lap.
Right, going to the first corner, brake just before the curbing ends on the left hand side and drive the corners using 2 apexes and maybe short shift to the second gear to avoid wheel spin. For the second corner, brake just before the cones on the right and use the whole curb on the left hand side but don't slide the car all the way to the right hand side in the middle of the corner. Again, short shift to second gear to avoid wheel spin. Brake just before the 50 meter mark, and again use the flat curb on the inside, watch out for wheel spin on the exit, and then heading on to corner 7 and 8. Drop down to third gear and watch out on the first left-hander as the road camber changes mid-corner. And then corner 9, brake just before the curb starts on the right-hand side all the way down to first gear. Be very precise with the throttle as it's easy to get a lot of wheel spin. Same for corner number 10, brake just at the 50 meter mark. And then accelerate all the way to 7th gear on the longest straight of the track. Brake just after the 100 meter mark and turn in early as you will get a lot of understeer in the turn in. Go all the way to the right and leave some space on the entry to the last chicane, and you can go pretty aggressive over the curbs there, almost half width of the car. Okay, that was the lap, hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time.
Thank you very much for the guys at iRacing for doing that for us. Lee, welcome to the comms box again, mate. Yeah, the guys are just forming up at the moment. Can you just take us through the first sort of 10 spots or so on the grid?
Yeah, absolutely. So, final race of the season, week 12 of season 3. We have current championship leader Kazuki Umeshima on pole position. Alongside him, his number 1 challenger Samuel De La Fuente. There's just 5 points between them in the standings at the minute, so we'll talk about the points required for that in a moment. Richard Avery in 3rd, Rasmus Tally 4th, Rafa Bordeaux 5th even, Matt Hannigan 6th, Frank Levick 7th, Martinez 8th, Garnett 9th, and Javier 10th. Lights are going green, Alex. We're away.
Yeah,
good start from Sam. Sam's got the inside line. It looks going into turn 1 already. He's got a great launch off the line there, but he backs out of it a little bit. Kazuki's trying to hang around the outside.
Yeah, 3 wide, a little bit further back as well. Looks pretty clean so far. LJ in there, got a good start.
Sam looking to come back on Kazuki as they come into turn 4. Sam's got the inside line. Can Kazuki hang around the outside? They're side by side as I come out the exit. Tricky exit. Oh, no contact between the two. Sam spun. Kazuki's going to have damage as well, but Sam's come out worse. He's had to wait for the whole field to go by. Tricky corner to get out the power there, side by side each other. Oh, man.
Yeah, and there's some more wing damage looking a bit further back as well, but yeah, like you say, very tricky corner that side by side, and got a few blinkers in there, and I think actually we got a little bit confused. I think it's Sam who's actually got the lead in the championship, so Kazuki needs this race, and that's Jorge Montana's there returning in front of the traffic, getting a whole load of rear wing damage, and I'm not sure who that is in the Mercedes looking car, but that's certainly got front wing damage as well.
Yeah, it's a real shame that this battle between the top 2 looks like it's over maybe before it started, but we'll see how Kazuki survives now with the damage it has got to the car. Just behind him, he's under a fair bit of pressure already from the Twister Racing car of Rasmus Tally. He's been very quick in the latter half of the season.
Yeah, Rasmus, Twister Racing driver, like you say, very quick the second half of this season. He's not an unfamiliar... Oh, we've got another spinner as well coming onto the main straight. Yeah, not an unfamiliar face to those guys that have watched and followed the Formula Sim racing for some time. He was very quick in that as well, so no surprise to see him working his way up here. There's lots of cars with bent wings there. Javier as well, another one there, and someone going very deep into the corner. I'm pretty sure he's got front wing damage. Justin Lindsay looking like he's trying to get past him. We've got another spinner in the background as well, so it's all going off here today.
Right, so with all the drama at the start, then let's have a quick run through the top 10, make sure we know where we are. Kazuki Umeshima is currently hanging on to that top position. As you quite rightly said, Alex, he's the one that needs the big points finished to try and leapfrog Sam for that extra 5 points. Rasmus Tally all over the back of him though, making his life very hard work. Rafa Bordeaux then in 3rd with Avery in 4th, Frank Levick in 5th, LJ Garnett in 6th, Matt Hannigan in 7th, Danilo Figueiredo, he had a great result in the last race I believe, in 8th position or earlier on, Mohamed Patel in 9th, and Sam De La Fuente is the one recovering currently in 10th position.
Yeah, I'm just going to see if I can take us back to the start of the race, have a re-look at what went on. incident between Sam wasn't on the Sam Kazuki wasn't on broadcast, so we'll just take a quick look at that. But yeah, just as we watch him come down, Sam definitely got a run. Kazuki went a little bit defensive, but went in there side by side. Plenty of room between both drivers. But yeah, if anything, I think Sam thought he'd got the move done actually, but Kazuki was still there. And yeah, damage.
Yeah, so it's a real shame, but I guess in a way at least it's gone the right way, so Kazuki's still the one that's got to do the job to leapfrog Sam, and so really, yeah, it's got to be a top 3 position, do you think, Alex, to get enough points? What did we say, 234 that Kazuki Mishima got earlier on in the weekend?
Yeah, so he needs to really 240 or above. I mean, there's, as far as I can tell, there's no pro drivers in this as well, so we're not going to have an artificially elevated strength of field, so it could be interesting to see if there's even enough points up for grabs in this one. I'm sure one of the I'm sure one of the spectators could probably quickly grab someone to get the SOF calculations.
But yeah, I reckon it's got to be okay, because our teammate Dean Prescott, we were looking to see if he was going to scrape into the top split. We know he's got a reasonable iRacing, so I think it's, points are going to be well into the 200s, but we'll have to just wait and see. So Rasmus Telly hasn't really been able to make any inroads on Umeshima so far this race. I'm a bit out of touch with other people's strategies this week, Alex. Have we got any idea as to strategies likely to be?
Yeah, well, I think Rasmus was doing a one-stop in all of his races so far, so I'd expect to see him one-stopping again. His teammate, Mohammed Patel, actually, who we didn't think was going to race, because he was doing the Petit Le Mans, but he's there, just been overtaken by Samuel, actually. He's also got a bit of front wing damage, so I'm not sure what he's planning on, whether it's a no-stop, but I think with that front wing damage, he's going to be forced into an early pit stop there. But yeah, for the bulk, I think most people are doing the one-stop strategies the first half of the grid anyway, with the rest of the drivers looking perhaps to do a no-stop, just so they don't get held up by anyone.
Well, this race is looking pretty promising to keep us entertained throughout. I mean, the top 5 drivers are pretty close together, not stringing out too much. In fact, Hannigan and Garnett aren't much further behind either. So hopefully we're going to see that little bit of strategy come into play as it all mixes up a little bit, and perhaps if there is an odd no-stopper in there, they might just be causing some headaches for everyone else on one-stops.
Yeah, De Fuente just put some move on Figueiredo, and I think Mohamed's going to follow him down into that tricky right-hand corner before the bridge. Indeed he does.
Rasmus Tally looking to take a sneaky look up the inside of Kazuki Mishima as they come through turns 1 and 2 there. So he's a little bit closer than he's been in the last lap or so. But just trying to keep Umeshima on his toes. It looks like at least that Umeshima hasn't got any significant damage from his contact with De La Fuente. So he's hanging on to that top spot for now. But Rasmus looks the quicker of the two.
Yeah, Kazuki has run a no-stop strategy this week.
Rasmus is very, very close. They come under the bridge. He's going to look to make a move into the S's up the inside into that left-hander, and Umeshima, Tally runs wide and deep. Umeshima's going to cut back on him. I was just about to say Umeshima was sensible and backed out of it, but looked like it was just that Tally ran in way too hot. All as they were though, Tally slotted back into his second position. Yeah,
Rafa couldn't quite take advantage of that. He had a look, but couldn't get a move up alongside Tally there.
That's really the last thing Umeshima needs, is somebody diving up the inside of him into one of the faster corners. He just needs a clean race and hope that he gets the points. This is his last race, we're thinking, for Umeshima. He's already had 3 races this weekend.
I think he has. I'm pretty sure I've seen him in 3, so yeah, it's all or nothing for this one if he wants the championship.
Yeah, it's a great finish to the end of the season. 12 weeks, 4 drop rounds, and just 5 points between the top 2. And I mean, I say 5 points. Yeah, that's out of nearly 2,000 points. 1,897 versus 1,893. You couldn't get much closer than that after a 12-week season.
No, you're right. I mean, it's actually it's been a fantastic season, up and down, and people joining later on in the season as well. So lots of drivers coming through. Actually, Kazuki and both Samuel were 2 drivers that did exactly that. So I take it back. Kazuki was at Indianapolis, so
but he certainly did miss a few rounds at the beginning of the season. So you're right, they were both coming up through the standings, weren't they, having recovered their drop weeks.
It's pretty small on screen, but there are the standings just for the drivers very, very quickly while we keep an eye on this battle. But yeah, all to play for really between those guys. Yourself featuring as third Class A, you must have been absolutely delighted with your season, mate.
Yeah, I'm just watching Tally look to go up the inside in the hairpin. Umeshima has to hold a wide line, but you should get a better drive out the corner along that back straight, and Tally has to slot back in again. So Tally is putting Umeshima under lots of pressure, and they're backing into the cars behind as well. Both Rafa Bordoy and Avery. Here comes Tally again up the inside. Oh, just a tiny bit of contact was there. Umeshima had to back out of it. Now he's under lots of pressure from Bordoy, and they're coming through this tricky end to the lap here to get onto the front straight. So Tally's finally got that move done. Let's see how he manages to streak away now from Umeshima.
Yeah, this will give us an idea whether Kazuki has gone for his no stop or not. If by the end of this lap Tally's a good 1.5 seconds clear, then I think it's pretty much confirmation, and it's going to be a battle between those guys come the end. Lap 7, it's quite late to get past, but we have seen drivers do as many as 2 stops this week and make it work. So
yeah, Kazuki's done a great job to keep everyone behind if that's going to be the case. Like I say, 7 laps, that's a good chunk of their first stint, and they're really going to have lost out. But we'll, as you said, we'll see how it plays out over the lap. And in the background, Richard Avery looking to make a move as well as they come under the bridge. And it looks like Avery's got the job done there on Bordoy. He slips up into 3rd position. Great bit of battling in those top places.
Yeah, just missed that. I will be sure to catch a replay of that in a second.
Yeah, looked pretty clean from Avery. Just got a better drive, I think, as they came out of the bridge. The corner before the sharp right-hander, heavy braking. It's a tricky corner to get an exit on. And perhaps Bordoy just struggled a little bit, and Avery was there to capitalise. Yeah,
it looks like Bordoy stuck a couple of wheels into the dirt on the outside. It's quite bumpy there as well, so Richard just jumped on that opportunity to get alongside and get past.
Right, and Alex, so you were saying we'll see how we are at the end of the lap. Tally looks like he's not really scampered away particularly, does he? Yeah, he's only half a second or so down the road, so perhaps it's just... I know for me, it's difficult going from dirty air to clean air and instantly being able to get your braking points back and finding how much front grip you've got especially. So maybe it's just going to take Tally a little while to find that. But he hasn't streaked away as much as maybe we thought he might have.
Yeah, and only a 1/10 of a second faster than he has been, and Kazuki. So I'm thinking, oh, Kazuki sideways there. Richard's going to get a run on him here. And I wouldn't be surprised actually if Rafa's not going to get a move done.
So Kazuki having a little bit of a tough lap there. He's dropped back now to what's that going to be? 4th position.
Place, yeah.
He needs that podium spot really for to give himself a chance of those points.
He will do, definitely. I mean, I think maybe 1st or 2nd might secure him the position, but certainly 3rd. It's not going to be good. 4th, sorry, it's not going to be good enough. Now Frank Levick coming up quite strong on these guys behind as well.
And of course, jumping back, Sam De La Fuente's got a clear bit of track in front of him to allow him to try and just pin in some laps while these guys are squabbling away. Rasmus Tally, he's been able to escape now with these guys struggling at the beginning of the lap, so he has now managed to break away.
Yeah, not a bad race from LJ Garnett.
And Frank Levick, Alex, as well.
Yeah, Frank right on the back now as well.
Yeah,
so.
This is the strongest I've seen Frank running for a little while. You know, he's Umeshima especially. Okay, maybe he's on a different strategy at the minute, but he's been one of the quickest guys all season. And Frank's there and thereabouts, but he's obviously happy here at Motegi. I think you've got a good qualifying.
Yeah, actually the friction racing guys have looked quite strong this week. All of them putting in stellar times in qualifying and in practice. Just having a look at the world records earlier, so. I think Frank will be keen to try and get up and mix it with these guys.
Samuel De La Fuente, first car into the 25s, so he's really trying to make his way up on these cars. He was 2 seconds quicker than everyone bar Rasmus Tally in front of him.
Yeah, he's not a million miles away. I mean, we see him just coming through, well, see him in the background on that shot there, so 10 seconds is the gap to Rasmus, so it's not on it's not impossible to catch up. When you get the bit between the teeth, you really can start to motor around this track.
It's so easy, as we've seen already, just to get a wheel wrong on an exit, get a braking marker missed on entry. You've got to be very precise in these high to low speed sections.
Just want to quickly talk about Richard Avery for a second, a driver perhaps at the start of the season wasn't really mixing it towards the front of these split races, but also a bit much like Rasmus, coming on strong, finding his feet in the FW31. I think he will scrape into one of those extra positions for the pro spots at the end of the season. So yeah, perhaps someone to keep an eye on next season's pro championship.
Yeah, we've not really mentioned that at all yet, have we? I mean, top 10 positions is what's always talked about, but we're thinking it could be anywhere up to 19, Alex, perhaps, that do scrape a black stripe.
Yeah,
it's
well,
just going to be a matter of us waiting at the end of the season to see who gets those positions.
Yeah, you're right. We saw 19 originally, and then there was some talk about a couple of drivers perhaps writing and getting it reinstated. So we could be sort of 17, 19, somewhere along that. I think we're looking at. So
I think there's going to be some disappointed drivers who maybe going to have thought midway through the season that they weren't going to get a top 10 position. Perhaps they just took their pedal off a little bit in the second half and maybe just took a break here and there, and maybe a couple of those people are going to be really kicking themselves now seeing that opportunity slip by. Right, let's have a quick run through the standings. So Rasmus Tally is trying to break away a little bit from the cars behind, but now that they've stopped squabbling, he's not disappearing quite so much down the road. But he's in P1 with a good 2.5 to 3 second gap over Richard Avery, who, as you said, I was talking about Frank and LJ a minute ago. You're right, he's running in a strongest race that I've seen him certainly so far. So Richard Avery in P2, Rafa Bordoy in third, Umushima surely on a no-stop strategy in fourth position, doing a great job at trying to hang with these cars around him. Frank Levick looking to be the next person to move up a position, currently in fifth. Matt Hannigan, what have we got there? We've just had LJ Garnett disappear. Where's LJ gone? So Frank Levitt fifth. That puts Matt Hannigan now in sixth position with Samuel De La Fuente in seventh. LJ Garnett now is in the pits, so presumably he's got damage after having an incident somewhere on the lap.
yeah, unfortunately I saw LJ in the background just losing it, coming under the bridge for the oval after that tight right-hander, so can be very, very tricky corner. So LJ, a driver who has locked in his pro licence, 204 points earlier on this week, so while he'd be a bit disappointed that he made that mistake, ultimately will still have a little grin on his face come the end of this week's racing.
Yeah, well and truly job done. I think another car on the edge, Alex, I believe, is Anthony Kopek, right? He's currently running in 10th position, so depending on his strategy, if he's on a no-stop, then perhaps he may move up a few positions towards the end of the race.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on Anthony as well. Mohamed's obviously, as far as we know, in that little buffer zone, so it's all a bit up in the air at the moment. We don't know the exact numbers, so for us just to commentate on, we couldn't even say, right, this is going to lock them in or it's not, so very interesting.
Very glad not to be one of those drivers not knowing at the end of the season whether they've done enough or not, and even not knowing in this race, how much of the risk do they need to take? Do they need to go all out and they've got nothing to lose, or they just don't know?
Yeah, just having a look at Rasmus here. He's, like you said, actually I think if anything, Richard just starting to close in a little bit. Yeah, he was 10th of a second quicker that last time by. Both drivers into the 25s with that. But yeah, Richard just starting to lay down some rubber a little bit more aggressively out there, I think.
And in 7th position, Samuel De La Fuente is still the consistently fastest car on the track, so 25.7 last time by. He's gradually catching up with Matt Hannigan now in front of him in 6th, so he was 2.5 tenths quicker that last time. Sam's going to need to get to the back of him and get straight past if he wants to continue his progress up the field and have a chance at perhaps disrupting Umashima's race.
Let's just have a quick jump on board with Matt Hannigan as well, because he's another driver that's in this bubble zone at the moment. But I'm pretty sure a good race here today would see him possibly secure actually a top 10 position. So I think it would probably be at the demise of his teammate Christian Tanho, who isn't here this week. But yeah, so from Matt's point of view, I think a top 5 or 6 might just get him in that safe zone. Not going to be easy, as we've pointed out. Samuel De La Fuente catching him up pretty quickly. Let's have a look at the interval this time by as Sam crosses the line. Yeah, Matt Hannigan 126.2, some half a second slower than De Fuente with a 25.7, gap down to 1.3 now. Still only on lap 13 of this race as well, Lee, so it's a long way to go. Lots of things still to happen and play out here.
Yeah, so we've got a little while still until these one-stoppers are going to look to make their strategy come into play and make their stop. But as you said, lap 13, we've got a long way to go in the race, and these top half dozen cars or so just starting to string out now, but all close enough to see how things develop later on.
Yeah, just having a little look further down on the field. Figueiredo in 9th place. I know he's a no-stopper. He did run that strategy earlier on in the week. Anthony Kopech. Looking at Anthony's lap times, actually, I would almost say that Anthony's going to do the same strategy. Jorge Montanez, we know, had that wing damage following that off on lap 1. Justin Lindsay, I'm not sure what strategy he's on, if I'm honest. LJ Garnett in 13th after his pit stop, so we'll keep an eye on his lap times, but I imagine that was just a bit of front wing damage that he had to pit for there.
I believe Justin should be on a no-stop race. That's what I saw him running yesterday when I failed miserably in my race of the weekend.
Yeah, and actually we'll just while we're keeping an eye on what's going on that's further ahead, we will we'll have a look. Actually, Justin lets LJ through, so there's no reason to fight him there, so LJ up and into 12th place as it is now.
So Richard Avery, significantly quicker last lap than Rasmus Tally again, so getting on for 2.5 tenths faster that last time by. Just what, 1.5 to 2 seconds between the two cars now. Richard's just going to start getting into that dirty air a little bit as well, and yeah, it's not too bad here in this circuit getting caught by an tar. Not a huge amount of fast corners, but once he starts getting closer, then I found it's very, very difficult to be confident and aggressive in the braking zones because of proximity of the car in front. So if he starts getting too close, he'll might find that his lap times just drop off a little bit again.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget as well with these Formula cars that when you are in that dirty air and braking, it does take just a little bit of the air off that front nose, so your braking distances do go up just a fraction, and it can catch a few drivers out, and we've got heavy braking zones at this track, so most corners we're down into sort of third or second gear pretty much everywhere, to be fair, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see the odd lock-up here or there, drivers trying not to run into the back of the driver they're chasing.
What are your opinions on the circuit, Alex? Is it a favourite of yours?
No.
Okay, good. Correct answer.
Not really, no. There's just something about it. It just doesn't gel with me. Yeah, slow speed is my Achilles heel, I think. So medium and high speed corners and stuff that requires a lot of precision and specific lines like the Suzuka S's section, is what I love the most. And yeah, this definitely doesn't have any of that. This is basically hairpin followed by hairpin followed by hairpin. So.
And it's certainly not a circuit that we may mention with others in terms of something not being suitable for the F1 car. It absolutely is an F1 track, and it's a much better choice than a Zandvoort or a Zolder or those other tracks that we've seen on times in the F1 car. But as you said, I'm exactly the same as you. All my time is lost in braking into slow corners and getting out of them. And as you said, a bit of high speed aero work is. As well, that's what the F1 car is about, isn't it? That's what makes it the pinnacle of motorsport, is the speed they can get around those high-speed corners, like I say, like Maggotts Beckett's and the famous S's of Suzuka. Who's that in the front? Was that Rasmus Tally? Rasmus Tally under lots and lots of pressure now from Richard Avery as he came through turn 4. I think as he was getting on the power, just where we saw Samuel De La Fuente and Umeshima at the start getting together. I think he just lost the rear. Didn't quite see if it was just him running wide or just spinning up the rears. It's easy to do. Yeah, Avery now, right up his gearbox.
Let's say Richard got the bit between his teeth now. We'll try and get a move done. I wonder if Richard's just got a little bit less fuel on board than perhaps Tally has as well. Although Richard should have seen what these guys were running in the earlier races, so I would expect they're going to be within a lap or two, but just don't know. And I mean, Rafa just not to count him out as well. He's doing a sterling job at the back there. 3rd place.
Yeah, and I mean, to an extent, all of it really got anything to lose, have they? So Rasmus Tally is secured in his pro spot. Richard Avery looks fairly comfortable as well, so I'm seeing him in 20th overall in the standings, but that's not including the pro drivers in front. So assuming we're at that 16, 17 sort of number, he should be okay. Rafa Bordeaux is locked in, absolutely. Umeshima's the one battling for that top spot, but everybody else in these top 10 positions pretty much, well, right back until 8th until you get to Mohamed Patel. They all know they should have a black stripe for next season at least. So top 3 cars now pretty close together after that little bit of bunching from Tally in the last lap. Tally lost 9/10 of a second last time by to Richard Avery, and 1.3 seconds to Rafa Bordeaux in 3rd, so they've all just bunched together a little bit more now.
Yeah, Rafa fallen off a little bit, so he's perhaps suffering a little bit more with the day, or just doesn't want to follow a little bit too close, perhaps wants to wait to see how the strategies are going to pan out, thinks maybe he's got a little bit more fuel on board and rather jump these guys in the pits than on the circuit. I mean, and overtaking here is generally not very easy to do as well. I mean, most drivers will be running maximum downforce, 10 on the wicker. The way the track is, the straights are quite short, so we're pretty much constantly accelerating all the way until the braking zone. So it's very, very tricky to get a decent enough run, because there's nowhere really where you're peaked out and you can just let the slipstream pull you another 5 or 6 kph faster down the straight.
That's exactly what I was going to say about the slipstream. There's not really a slipstream effect at all, is there? Because as I said, the effect of getting up the gears is much more pronounced before you get to that. And coming from a slow corner, it's going to be nigh on impossible to get on the power exiting a slow corner before the car in front of you. And if that car in front's maybe got a little bit of racecraft as well, they know they can take it pretty easy going into the corner and really make sure they get fast out, and then it's just going to be relying on a mistake from the car in front to give somebody a chance. Matt Hannigan is just clawing his way onto the back of Frank Levick a little bit now. He's certainly closed that gap in the last 5 or 6 laps or so. So that's just allowing Sam to close to this group of cars in front. The front 3 have broken away a little bit, but then 4th to 8th, or 4th to 7th rather, it's just starting to almost become a train of 4 cars now.
Yeah, it's under 9 seconds now is the battle for from 1st down to Samuel in 7th, so that's pretty close, and I'm pretty sure that all of them are running the same strategy out there, so they're all on 1 stop, so we'll have to keep an eye on when the guys are coming in and the length of times they're in there. So, but Mohamed Patel, I'm not sure what strategy he's on. I'm thinking he's possibly on a no-stop strategy, so the first of them out there.
I glanced away for a second, but Umeshima had a bit of a problem coming out of the final corner. Maybe you got a slowdown penalty? I didn't see if you went sideways, but that's allowed Frank Levick to jump ahead before we get into turn 1.
Yeah,
let's catch up on the replay.
Let's just have a quick look at that back, see what that could have been. I know you can get a slowdown penalty in the it's the final chicane, isn't it? If you take it a little bit tight. Oh no, he just got onto onto sort of like the grassy area on the outside of the curb, spun up his outside wheels, caught it. Yeah, he caught it before getting into that pit wall. So
Matt Hannigan now under a lot more pressure from Samuel De La Fuente. He's really closed up a lot in the last lap or so, and Sam's moving around a little bit in his mirrors, just trying to distract Matt and help him miss a couple of apexes and give him a chance for a run. But Sam wants to keep his progress going forward. So 41 lap race, we're expecting cars in what, lap sort of 27, 28, 29, that sort of time?
Yeah, I think we've even seen many go to 31. Just having a look here now, Samuel down the inside of Matt. Matt didn't really defend it. Late on the brakes for Sam as well. Gets a great move done through there. Finds himself back up into 6th place.
Very, very easy just to lock the fronts, especially going downhill into that hard braking zone there. So once you've taken that inside line, got to know that you're going to be able to get it turned in and you're not going to run out wide and push that outside car off out of track. Umeshima's trying to get this position back on Frank Levick. He's closed up a little bit, not quite close enough to get into turn 3 and 4 there, but looking to regain that 4th position. He's, unless there's that different strategy, which is unlikely, Umeshima I think is going to struggle to score these points today.
Yeah, you're right, that little hiccup that he's had, well, 2 little hiccups now, pretty much going to rule him out of it, but don't want to do famous last words of a commentator. We're bound to see some sort of accident up ahead now, I think, and he can get him what he needs, but hey, we'll see.
Stranger things have happened. So further back, lonely drive so far for Mohammed Patel in 8th position. He's running all on his own, and the same for Danilo Figueiredo as well. In 9th, he's running very solitary, as is Anthony Kopek. So all of the interest is really still those top 7 positions, with Matt Hannigan at the back of that group and Rasmus Tally at the very front. Still not able really to pull a gap from the cars behind. They're still sitting just on the edge of that sort of dirty air, second and a half behind.
Yeah, I think if anything, Rafa looks like he's struggling more with the dirty air than perhaps Richard is there, so just seems to fall back to that 1.4, 1.5 seconds, but doesn't lose too much time once he gets to that point. And for those guys that are not familiar with the FW31 that might be watching, that is sort of the zone that you get in that 1.3 seconds is where you start to feel the dirty air off the car ahead, but you don't really gain any advantage of any sort of slipstream or tow. That really comes in once you sort of get to about a second or so behind, and then you can actually sort of gain a bit of an advantage, but it's very, very difficult to follow in that sort of 1 to 1.4 second area. So,
and I think Umeshima had another tough start to the lap. I didn't see it, but he's dropped a long way back from Frank Levick now, and he's got Samuel De La Fuente all over the back of him. See if they can deal with each other cleanly this time after that unfortunate first lap incident. But Umeshima feeling the pressure, maybe trying too hard, maybe to get those points. Just mistakes creeping in.
Yeah, well, this while it's probably not necessarily going to be for the championship, I have to think that if Samuel gets ahead of Kazuki, it's curtains for him as far as that goes. But yeah, this is definitely going to be a one-up on either driver who can hold off for this this win now that they're back on the same piece of tarmac.
So Sam getting a decent drive out of turn 2, trying to show Kazuki himself in his mirrors as they head to turn 3, and Kazuki just struggled a little bit of entrance there, so Sam's got a great run coming out of turn 4, has to go to the outside as Umeshima defends on the inside. Let's see who's going to be the latest and bravest on the brakes. Sam by a long, long way. Umeshima pretty cautious going in, and Sam straight by. Didn't lose any time there at all, really.
Yeah, well, we can't think that right foot braking of Samuels is holding him back at all there.
That's
so
insane when he revealed that on the forums that he right foot brakes. I mean, I can't imagine how it could be anywhere near that sort of pace by right foot braking. That's crazy. You think back to what somebody like Rubens Barrichello, who perhaps was the last modern F1 driver that we know doing that, and so we know it's possible, but you're surely making life harder work for yourself than it needs to be. But it works for Sam. If I had Sam's pace around here, I would be happily right foot braking.
I was just very, very quickly going to jump to Anthony Kopek because he was coming into the pits, but the camera jumped off of him. He's got some front wing damage there, so I'm not really sure what's happened to Anthony, but so I don't think he's got too much to worry about per se, but we'll keep an eye.
Well, we've got a blinking back marker getting in the way of Richard Avery in P2. Richard is not going to be particularly pressed for that, and in fact struggles with the rear of the car on entry. Back marker just getting right in the way there, a name I don't recognise, perhaps a newcomer to the FW31. Let's hope Bordoy gets by cleanly as well. I'm not making it too easy, but thankfully the top 3 positions get by successfully. I think Avery unfortunately lost it. Maybe a second or more though.
I won't bring it up on a replay actually, but just having a look what happened to Anthony. He went into the wall, same place that LJ did a little bit earlier on. So it's a tricky corner, and it has caught quite a few people out this weekend.
Yeah, so that looks like it takes away any chance that Anthony had in this race of boosting his chances of scraping into the Pro Series next season. But we shall see how that turns out with if he has any more races available for him for the rest of the weekend. Right, so starting lap 24 with Rasmus Tully, still in that first position with a good couple of second gap over Richard Avery. So we're thinking cars will be coming in within sort of 5 laps or so and onwards. And so, as I watch Rafa Bordeaux losing the rear of the car coming out of turn 2 there, does well to gather it back up. But I was just saying, even a lap or 2 difference in fuel load between these cars could just mix things up a little bit, shuffle it around.
Yeah, we've seen the way the tyres work this season that tends to be if you can go an extra lap longer, then you're going to gain about 1 second per lap that you stay out there. Some tracks it's even more than that. Short pit stop here though at Motegi. We're only talking was about 24 seconds, something like that. It's quite short. But nevertheless, if you can stay out for 3 or 4 laps, then you can get a good jump.
Let's see how Frank Levick and Samuel De La Fuente managed to get by the blinking back marker with a damaged rear wing. Doesn't let them by before the hairpin, holds his racing line, so just unfortunately getting in the way a little bit here in this strength and field. But now he moves out of the way on the back straight at least. Hope he's going to let Sam through as well, but he doesn't, it's a shame.
Yeah, it can be tricky sometimes for backmark, especially this track, to know exactly
now
where to
Sam,
let go. But
Sam's really stuck now in this final section, so at least it doesn't look like. Hopefully, it's going to cost Sam valuable points for this race, but he'll be relieved at least the pressure looks off a little bit.
I have to say, there does seem to be a little bit of a philosophy among some of the slower drivers that do get themselves lapped out there, that the best way to do it is to hold your line through the corner and then let them go just after the corner, which actually is probably the worst thing possible to do. For I know when I'm following back markers, I just think, well, no, just brake a little bit earlier going into the corner, follow me through the corner, and then you don't have to lift or anything like that. So he did that there actually with Kazuki. But yeah, let's see some more intelligent thinking out there from some of the back markers.
Perhaps it extends a little bit from experience in multi-class racing, where it is, multi-class racing, hold your line, do not move. But perhaps a little bit different when you're getting lapped. But Matt Hagen now manages to get by. So perhaps he's hearing us on the stream, Alex, learning a little bit, gaining that bit of experience. Right, so back to the lead cars. Rafa Bordeaux has dropped back a little bit now from the lead too. So Richard Avery just a second and a half or so behind Tully. He was a good couple of tenths quicker last time by. But Bordeaux just having a little bit of a tough lap, at least a second slower that time by for Rafa.
Yeah, and Samuel's dropped back to 9.4 as well. He was closing in at quite a rate of knots, but seems to have slowed down a little bit since catching up with all this traffic. But yeah, Kazuki really struggling out there. I wonder if perhaps he picked up maybe just a tiny little bit of suspension damage or something like that with the contact with Samuel early on. I mean, it does happen from time to time. It's not always aero damage that we get. So, just kind of expected to see him absolutely flying here.
So I think we've just got a little bit of the calm before the storm, with pit stops coming up pretty soon. Samuel De La Fuente is the only car currently looking to make a move, trying to close back on that 4th position of Frank Levick, just in front. Frank's had a great season. I've been really happy for Frank locking in his pro licence, it seems.
Yeah, Frank, always a good driver, comes in, has a little chat with us after the races, and I think he very much deserved it. Good start to the season, got a lot of good points early on, and he's just backed that up with a very solid second half of the season. Did what he needed to do, and
Frank Levick
actually jumps in the pits. Yeah.
So Frank's the first to blink, so he's going to lose out a little bit to the cars around him. So perhaps even to Umeshima if he has a couple of clean laps, and to his teammate Matt Hannigan as well. Otherwise, he should be pretty safe to anyone else behind.
just going to get an idea of what sort of pit stop times we're going to look at for this race. Frank jacks the car up, so 4 new tyres for him.
A little bit of surprise.
4 point, yeah, I agree. 4.4 seconds is the stop. It's going to come out just ahead of Mohammed here. He has indeed. So that just goes to show that everybody pretty much should jump Mohammed with that were on the one stoppers. So yeah, 4.4, pretty quick. Let's see how far when he crosses the line he is behind Rasmus, just to get a time loss, so we know as these filter out.
I have to say, Richard Avery doing a great job of closing the gap on Rasmus Tally as they come up to that pit stop window now. Cast your mind back to the real F1 at Suzuka just a couple of weeks ago, and how the Red Bulls made sure that, you know, as the Lotus was coming up to his pit stop window, that they made the most of that gap. As Richard Avery, there you go, right on cue, makes his pit stop. So not worked out for Richard being the first one to blink, but at least he's given himself the best chance of having closed that gap before the stop.
Yeah, Rafa went past as well. So
yeah, I think Avery the only one in this lap.
Just keep an eye on what Avery's stop is. His car doesn't jack up, so he's leaving the same set of tyres on there. 4.2 seconds, 2/10. He was already way ahead of, well, not way ahead.
Frank's not even on the straight yet.
Frank, so nothing to worry about there. Comes out in 6th place.
So Rasmus Tally, Rafa Bordoy, the 2 cars from that initial 3-car group, we're still waiting to make a stop. Samuel De La Fuente, he's certainly going to be coming in soon. And then I do wonder if... no, Umeshima definitely is on a 1-stop as well. I was going to say, I wonder if his little bit of a struggle has been for fuel load, but yeah, Umeshima will be in as well, and Hannigan. So we've got 5 cars remaining to see how their strategy turns out.
Yeah, it's looking like the time lost in the pits is around about that 26 seconds based off Frank. Let's just see what Richard does this time and where he comes out. Rafa Bordoy, spin!
Damages the front wing against the wall. That could be perfect timing for him if he's lucky, because he can go straight in the pits now, get that wing... he carries on. Bad choice. Needed to have pitted, repaired that front wing, and not lost now on this slow lap he's surely going to have.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure he was thinking there. Perhaps a little bit of frustration just crept in. Let Samuel De La Fuente go. But yeah, like you say, perfect time just to have pit. He wouldn't have had to have lost too much more time, just a few seconds with the actual spin. Get himself some new rubber, get himself some fuel.
I think the winner out of this at the minute is Samuel De La Fuente. I reckon Sam's got a good chance of having jumped maybe even Richard Avery with these couple of laps longer he's going on light fuel. He's really going to have moved significantly further up the track in comparison, so we'll see how that turns out.
Well, 26 seconds looks pretty much what we were saying, like the golden time. That's how much Avery's behind, and we know how close he was behind Rasmus. So yeah, for Samuel, it's just all about trying to build that gap. I mean, that is quite a lot of time that he's going to have to gain in these next few laps, but he's going to be going maybe 1 or 2 seconds a lap faster at this point.
And as you said, if he can get somewhere like 31, like you said somebody could stretch it to, then he's going to be right in the mix. Right, Rasmus Tally goes around for another lap, does not pit this time by. Yeah, watching now Samuel as he comes out final corner. Under
a lot of pressure here from Kazuki as well, so Bordoy surely needs to be in this time around. Front wing damage.
And yeah, just about. Kazuki continues by though, so Bordoy is the only car in this lap. So far, they've all just been coming in on their own, just laps apart. So yeah, tough bit of luck for Bordoy there, and it's difficult to make. Yeah, it's easy, of course, to make that decision when we're looking from the outside, Alex. But as you said, in that split second, when you've got to figure out, did I get away with it? Have I broken? Have I damaged my wing? Then it's an easy mistake to make. I think I recall making a similar error sometime this season. So last time by, Samuel De La Fuente, the only car I think that's going to be in the 24, so 24.899 compared to Rasmus Tally in front 3/10 slower, and Umeshima was stuck of course behind Bordoy with his damaged wing, so he had a 1 minute 26 lap. So I think Sam's going to be in the prime seat here. He's not going to be enough to get Tally of course, because Tally looks like he's running maybe just as long, but we could see Sam leapfrog anyone else into second position.
Yeah, depending on how long Kazuki goes as well, he might even have a chance to get up to Richard, but definitely had a lot of mistakes early on that did cost him.
Rasmus Tally into the pits. What about Sam? Is he going to go around one more time?
Sam's in as well.
The pits as well.
Let's just see how this plays out for.
And Umeshima continues by.
Yeah,
so
Samuel didn't even get into his stall by the time Tally had left. Both drive, well, 4.1 for Tally, 4.2 for I think it was 4.2 for De Fuente. No, it wasn't. It was 3.7 for De Fuente. Sorry, it's just as it was. Richard managed to jump in between the two. So
yeah, Richard Avery had no worries at all. He was well clear. I was expecting Sam maybe to have ended up a little bit closer. So yeah, Richard looking pretty comfortable at the minute in that second position, and he didn't. I'm surprised at how close Richard Avery is to Rasmus Tally. Yeah, Richard Avery was what, the second car, I think, of the lot to pit. Rasmus Tally is one of the last. Umeshima the only one continuing, and it seems that Richard didn't really lose any time there. Or well, only what, second and a half.
Yeah, I'll wait for the lap to pan out, see what's see where it is. But yeah, a lot. I expected, like you say, a lot more. So. I mean, Rasmus had a quicker pit stop than Richard as well, so he actually lost time in the pits stationary, so as we would expect, because he needed a little bit more fuel to take on.
Umeshima goes on again.
It's getting quite late in the Grand Prix here, 10 laps remaining, so I mean, we vaguely mentioned that he might be going for a no-stop strategy earlier on, but it just didn't fall off this. That would just be phenomenal pace.
If he did, he's really blown us all away and just shown why it is he's going to score these big points if that's going to be the case. But it feels very unlikely. But as you said, he's going so long. And I mean, to me, if you're going to go this long, you may as well have gone for a no-stop. I mean, what that extra 8 laps that he's going to have carried, I don't really see the benefit, but perhaps perhaps that's what's happened.
1.7 seconds Avery's behind Tally, so he really didn't lose much time at all. But
very surprising.
That said, I mean, we are only 10 laps from the end. The amount of fuel these guys are putting in is very minimal, so lap time difference is going to be reduced, I guess. So maybe he didn't lose as much because of that.
It's good that even in a simulation where we have no variables, no weather, no change in track surface, we essentially have non-wearing tyres at the minute. At least it can still throw up a bit of surprises with the strategy, and it's not a purely obvious mathematical solution as to what's going to be the quickest route for the race. It seems perhaps with different people's setups and driving styles, there's different options out there still, which is only going to help the racing.
Yeah, well, it was quite interesting when the Glacier guys threw the curveball, Alexia Loma, doing that two-stop strategy, and while for whatever reason it didn't work the first 2 attempts that he tried it, I mean, it really should have done, but it almost looked as if he sort of just retired from the race on purpose, kind of thing. But he certainly made it work on his 3rd attempt, and he blew the whole field away. So yeah,
Kazuki,
it's great to see that interesting.
Kazuki, by the way, still going around, not pitted. I think he's got to be. We've got to be thinking. I mean, 24.9. If he's got 9 laps of fuel left, his qualifying time was in the 23s.
Yeah, I think we're right.
Yeah,
I think
this is no stop. Crazy.
No stop strategy. He managed to fight and hold off for it, and I think perhaps Rasmus is caught out a little bit here by the strategy and wasn't pushing, thinking he had everything pretty much in the bag, pulling away from like Avery, and yeah. I
mean, this could be a great, awesome bit of strategy choice from Umeshima. I mean, we said to him, it was lap 7, I remember, that Rasmus Tally first managed to get by, and that potentially has won the race for Umeshima if he can keep it together now. You know, those 7 laps and the other cars were unable to make their progress. That's what's going to get him the points, and it's just then a question of whether it's going to be enough points. What did we say? 234 he scored. He needs 5 more points than that. So 239 is the bare minimum, assuming Sam doesn't improve, which don't think he can really.
No, I think he would need to win the race. I mean, he scored 260 points earlier on, so yeah, you would need to win.
So looks like Iwashima might have struck a blinder here. So let's have just a quick clarification as to the standings. So Kazuki Iwashima, P1, looks like he's made a great choice of strategy. As we said, looks like he's pretty locked in. So P1 for Iwashima. Second position is Rasmus Tally, under a lot of pressure now from Richard Avery. Not sure if we missed a bad lap from Tally or whether this just is Avery being right on it, but Richard is much closer. That's going to develop in a second. Samuel De La Fuente in fourth. Fifth position, Frank Levick, under lots of pressure from the no-stopping Mohamed Patel in sixth place. We saw Frank took tyres, I remember. So Frank's going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage here. Anthony Kopek has a lap down. Matt Hannigan in seventh. He's dropped back a little way, unfortunately, as has Rafa Bodoya with his broken wing from earlier on. Danilo Figueiredo in ninth. And then rounding out the top 10 is GT Ross driver Javier Jose Martinez Arieta. That's pretty good pronunciation. Oh, as in the background, I watched LJ Garnett spin up the rears coming out of turn 2. Little 3-point turn, and I was about to say he kept it out of the wall, but I think he's decided he's had enough and has escaped back to pit lane. So yeah, I need to be changing my camera back to Richard Avery and Rasmus Tally. Here we go. So half a second at the minute, I would say, between Tally and Avery, with the back marker in front as well. Of is that going to be Jorge Montanez, I suspect, with his Caterham colour scheme? Yes, it is. So Montanez's experience, I'm sure he's not going to get in the way at all here. But let's see how much Avery continues to close in. We've got 6 laps remaining.
Montanez does indeed move out of the way. Just going to keep a watchful eye actually on both these battles between Frank Levick and Mohamed Patel, as well as the Avery and Rasmus. So Twister getting a fair bit of coverage out there.
So I was going to say Twister Racing, yeah, both in the battles, one in front, one behind in their separate runs. So we'll see if they can finish up on a positive for this final race of season 3 before we head to the Pro Series for season 4. All back marker going to get in the way again. Same back marker as early on. I'm not going to name him to embarrass him, but Rasmus Tally dives up the inside, managed to make the move. Richard Avery just about manages it. It turned out alright, but lack of awareness thankfully didn't affect top guys.
Yeah, Mohamed closing down the same straight as well that we just saw them there. But I don't think he's going to be close enough to put a move on. He doesn't, just follows in behind. It's interesting that the Twister guys split their strategies really. Mohamed a little bit further back on the grid. Thought he had nothing to lose with going with the no-stop.
I think similar to our feelings, Alex, at recent races where, you know, if we've had a chance of being front 2 rows, we've been edging more towards a lighter fuel load, as I see the back marker from earlier spinning in the background. No shame. And as you said, if you're buried a little bit deeper, then it's going to be tough to make progress. And as you say, that seems to be the difference in the strategies there.
Yeah, I also want to pick up on something that we said earlier on, that obviously Frank Levick being at a bit of a disadvantage for taking tyres. The people that might not be too accustomed with the FW31 or iRacing in general are thinking, what the hell are these guys talking about? Surely it's an advantage to be on new tyres. Well, normally,
you would think so.
Yeah, normally you would be right, but just the way the tyres are working at the moment, it's all about building the temperature into the tyres. The degradation is so minimal that that's not an issue, but you want the heat in the tyre, and as the tyre sort of beds in and gets warmer and warmer and warmer through the stint, it gets better and better and better. And basically when you put a fresh set of rubber on again, you get them fresh from the blankets, but not quite got that temperature right through to the core of the tyre. So yeah, Frank would have had to have took 3 or 4 laps just to get it back up to that kind of a temperature. So which is why he's lost a little bit more ground, and Mohamed's really pushing him. Won't be much between them at this point, because he's done enough laps on there that it would be in a very, very similar state. But yeah, we're effectively running the hard compound of the Bridgestone tyre, so it takes a while to get it into a decent operating window.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day of this 2009 car, that hard tyre, they you know, like we are almost, you could go around all day long, but they were forced to make a pit stop by regulation, I recall. So It's just the rules that we run to here in iRacing. When we come to the Pro Series, Alex, I mean, again, it's going to be is it going to be the same thing in a full length 100% race? Is a no tyre change strategy still going to be the quickest way around?
Well, we're hoping that we'll get a little bit of tyre degradation for next season, or something that some of the developers were talking about. But for example, in this season's Suzuka World Championship race, I'd used the same set of tyres for the whole race. So I pitted just after the halfway mark, and kept the same set of tyres on. We're running about 30% extra distance to what these guys are going to be running as well, so it just shows you how long that those tyres can last.
So Richard Avery not really been able to make any further inroads into Rasmus Tally. Again, I'm thinking neither of them have got really anything to lose, so they can both push hard and fight for that position. I hope that if there's an opportunity, perhaps Rasmus doesn't just give it up and play it safe. I can't really see, looking at the standings, why that would be the case. So hopefully should be an exciting end to the race for us. But Avery, like he is, just needs to continue pressuring and seeing if he can just force Rasmus into that just slight mistake. I mean, you were saying earlier, Alex, that Rasmus has experienced in other sims, but perhaps as a slight newcomer to iRacing, there may be a possibility for a little bit of a chink of armour there. And Frank Levick still under lots of pressure, as you were saying, from Mohammed Patel, also Twister Racing in the background. Pretty similar gaps in those two pairings, and so it's just going to who of those front cars are going to blink first.
Just wanted to check in with another little battle actually, and that is Rafa Bordet and Matt Hannigan, just coming up with that same back marker again, just spicing up the race somewhat still. But Rafa, after recovering from that broken front winglet that he has, right on the back of Hannigan here. So Matt's in a place that he'll want to be. I think 7th place will get him a bit of an improvement on his drops. I'm trying to remember what he said last week. He had a drop, I think it was like 130 or 140 points. So I'm not sure, depending on the SOF, if this is going to improve on that. But he certainly won't want to drop down to 8th place.
It's interesting just quickly looking at, okay, he's picked up now. I was going to say, interesting looking at lap times between the very front cars in the battle with Frank Levick and Mohammed Patel, but Frank's just picked up on that last one. I was going to say he was in the 26s, whereas the cars in front in the low 25s, and they were on a very similar strategy, but Frank's pulled it back into the mid to high 25s, just responding to the pressure behind from Mohammed. Richard Avery's just dropped off the back of Rasmus Tally a little bit, so this battle in front is just cooling off a little bit. I think Tally's gotten into the 24s for the first time this race, as far as I know, and we have just a couple of laps remaining.
Yeah, Kazuki out front, just, well, in fairness, he's pulling away now as well, fastest guy out there. Although, yep, even Samuel hasn't quite gone as fast as he has, so played the strategy game out there. He had that pole position, decided to fuel it up and try and keep him behind as long as possible. The nature of the circuit really helped him out there, and perhaps some of the other guys just didn't do their homework enough. I mean, we've seen him do no-stop strategy in other races, so you know, they would have known that they would have needed to have got past as soon as possible, and perhaps there wasn't that sense of urgency when they were tucked up behind him.
And perhaps on the flip side, Sam knew exactly that. So on that first lap, Samuel De La Fuente knew that he had to get past, because there was that potential he needed not to get stuck behind, and unfortunately it just didn't quite work out this time.
Yeah, in the end, it's going to be the strategy that's probably going to win him the championship. Not only the Road to Pro, but also the overall championship as well. Both those guys sat 1 and 2, as we saw earlier on. So I have to say, either driver would be worthy of that championship victory. But yeah, just to pull it out on the strategy here as well. Just full marks and well deserved. 2 laps to go as he comes across the line shortly.
Yeah, I mean, both of these guys have been incredibly consistent all season. I mean, you know, perhaps for both of them, with maybe not being able to attend all the races at the start, they weren't at the top of the standings, but when they were getting weeks in, they were banging in, you know, not just 200s, but well into the 200s as well. and it's, as the season's shaken out with the drop weeks as we've gone through, it's really paid off for him. 24.1 for Kazuki Mishima last time by penultimate lap.
Yeah, fantastic pace out there. Still keeping a close eye on the battles that are out there. Mohammed Patel still putting the pressure on Frank Levick, but can't seem to find his way past. Frank just needs to drive the racing line this lap. Just keep his car planted, make it as wide as possible if he needs to. And we see Matt Hannigan as well getting under a lot of pressure from Rafa in the background of that one. We'll just keep an eye on that shot while Kazuki is
coming onto the back straight. So, I mean, Kazuki Mishima, we were questioning it early on in the race and discounted it. We presumed he was on a one-stopper and just having a tough time. But from it looking like he was having a tough time in a bit of a scruffy race, he was just on it. He was at a very, very similar pace to those one-stoppers. And he comes out onto the final corner, race win for Kazuki Mishima, and provisionally, we're going to have to wait for it all to be confirmed on iRacing, but provisionally, overall championship winner for the A-Class FW31 Season 3, Kazuki Mishima, I think, understandably, is going to be delighted about that, as Erasmus Talley comes over line and holds on to that P2. Richard Avery, great result. P3, podium position for Richard Avery in a strength and field race. That's got to be a result for him. Samuel De La Fuente, slightly disappointed fourth, I'm sure. He had a chance maybe to give Umeshima a run for the money with his difference of strategy. Frank Levick looks like he manages to hold on to come through the final corner. Patel gets a great run coming out the final corner there. They're going to be almost side by side going over the line. I think Frank's just going to hold on. Photo finish between the two. I think Frank got it, I reckon. Very, very close between the two of them. Great end to the lap. And then behind, Matt Hannigan held on for 7th with, what was that, Rafa Bordoy in 8th. And 9th is Danilo Figueiredo coming over the line. And in a few corners' time, top 10 will be Javier Jose Martinez Arrieta. Great finish between Patel and Levick.
Yeah, the actually the timing screen doesn't do it justice to how close that was, because it was 1/100th of a second between them as they crossed the line, so fantastically close. But the man that needs to take all the praise, really, Kazuki out there.
Absolute driver of the day.
Yeah, pretty much. Certain. We'll wait and see what the points are in a moment. I'll try and bring them up as soon as I can get them refreshed. Hopefully some guys will come up for an interview as well, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be ranked as not only #1 driver for this race, but the overall Road to Pro Season 3 champion as well. So congratulations to him. 252 points, Lee. I believe he has done it by a good 20 or so points. So is he going to be the only driver to make it into the 1900s? I think he will be as well.
I believe so. Yeah, I don't think anyone else will be able to have improved enough. So yeah, fantastic from I mean, both those two guys. Such a close finish to the end of the season. Great for it to go down to the very final race, down to the wire, and for Umeshima at one of his 2 home Grand Prix. God knows what time he's having to get up for these strength and field races or stay up to, but awesome result from Umeshima. It's surpassed our expectations.
Oh, absolutely. It's worth pointing out as well that he was probably out of the championship hunt until Suzuka as well, and he nailed, I think it was a 270 point victory at Suzuka. Fantastic race for him there. So yeah, his home Grand Prix certainly helping him to win this overall championship. I reckon he's got a pretty decent sort of friends and fan base from Club Asia as well. We often see him connecting into the sort of spectator sessions as well, so just cheering him on. So he'll be delighted with that. They'll be delighted with that. And let's not forget his team as well. They've got some very, very talented drivers in there as well. Yudo Narumi, Yuhu Abe, Iwasaki's in there. Obviously now Kazuki's made it as well. And I think they've got a few more that are going to step up in the next couple of seasons. So they're going to be a very, very good team to watch in this Pro Series.
It's going to be really interesting to see how the Pro Series shakes out. You've got some big teams in there now this year. And some big egos, some big prides at stake, maybe especially from those guys who have dropped down from the WCS and need to get their license back. They're not going to be too keen on being beaten to the punch by these upcoming pro drivers. So it's going to be a great season to watch. Potentially, should we say anything about broadcasts? Maybe, Alex?
Yeah, why not now? I mean, I think there's been some chat about it on the forum and things like that. But right now, we will commit to broadcast the events as well. We are not going to be charging for it. We're just going to log on and do it. Basically, we will obviously consult with iRacing, but there's an offer on the table to do it, broadcast every race free of charge. Just really more for the community than anything. So yeah, there's a little bit of perhaps some requirements needed for maybe the odd volunteer here and there just to help out with spotting battles and things like that, being as we have what is it, about
fortunately
8?
or unfortunately, most of us hopefully are going to be participating
8
in
or
the Pro
9
Series.
of us will actually be in the Pro Series, so the bulk of the people that normally help out on the broadcast will be on track, but those that aren't are going to do it. But yeah, if you want to help us out in help the community, especially the Formula 1 one, it's a great little community, and I think for the most part everyone's really friendly in here and we get on really well with each other. So if we can help out by doing these broadcasts, then we will do as well.
Right, I believe we have Frank Levick probably meaning to be in a Ready for Interview channel, I suspect.
Yeah,
so we shall have a quick chat with Frank.
I will grab Frank up in just a second. I'm going to go for a quick commercial break and then be right back.
For the most realistic steering system available on the market, look no further than Sim Steering from Leo Bodnar. Designed and hand-built at the home of British Motorsport's Silverstone circuit, it's extensively used by professional driver training centres and race teams including Formula 1 since 2010. The high precision and completely linear response coupled with high strength provides the ultimate in realistic steering force feedback. Visit simsteering.com.
We are in fact joined by Frank Levick up in the commentary box. Frank, first off, mate, congratulations. Season is over basically now. You are in a position and you have secured your pro license. Congratulations on that. First off, tell me how that feels and then tell me a little bit about your race.
It feels really good because we started Friction not even ago, and for us to have pro drivers not even being really alive for that long, it's just really great to see how far we've come in a short amount of time.
Yeah, well, so just tell us, so who from Frictions is in then?
Let me look at the season.
Well, we know Michel Mancusi was already locked in from the previous season, so we certainly know that he's going to be in there.
Yourself, are we thinking that Matt and Christian have done enough based on the guys having those extra few spots available?
I think Christian's actually in the top 10, but for Matt, I think it depends on how many people they choose put in.
You're right, Christian is, I think he's 10th place, isn't he, at the moment? Yeah, you got LJ 9th, Christian 10th. Yeah, so Matt's currently sat in 12th. From what I've heard, initially there was 19, and then I think there was a couple of drivers that have sort of come in a bit late, so we could be looking at 17 places up for grabs. Well, pretty successful season, I'd have to say, as far as Friction must be delighted with that. As you said, newly appointed teams, only been around for a couple of seasons, so it's nice to see you getting involved and getting those licenses. I think got any plans for any more expansion? Looking at any other drivers?
Not at the moment. I don't think we've had anyone come to us or gone to anyone looking for drivers at the moment, but we're always looking.
Well, just to sort of break away from the team and the pro schedule and whatnot, just tell us a little bit about the race today. I mean, you had a pretty good pace out there. You give those guys a little bit of a run for the money. They were battling hard, and you were right with them for a good portion of the race.
Yeah. Right after I caught up to Kazuki, I kind of dropped off because at that point I just lost all sense of where my braking points were. So I just at that point did the best I could to just keep up. I was surprised that I actually passed Rafa after his pits because he pitted later than I did. But at the end of the race, it was quite a struggle to keep Muhammad behind me. Within a half a second, pretty much the whole last half of the race, and I kept catching back markers, which kind of messed things up a little bit. And then at the very end, I messed up coming out of the final turn, and I don't know if you saw, but it was a photo finish to the line.
Yeah, 1/100th of a second. Trust me, we were watching it. Yeah, that must have. It's always nice to win close photo finishes like that, but yeah, you must be delighted with that. Where I'm sure Mohammed's there kicking himself, thinking, damn it, if we just got on the gas a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I always look forward to getting a top 5 because I know I'm not really the fastest guy here, but I like to at least try and keep up with the guys up front.
Well, I think we've seen just by looking at your points haul for the season that consistency makes a big difference. I mean, the tables are just in the moment updating, so I can't tell you exactly what the points are because I think you're showing us 9 weeks at the moment.
I think I'm gonna end up with 1577 because I only beat my drop week by like 7 points. So I'll probably stay where I am in the stand.
Yep, 1577, spot on, just as you said. But looking at that, 3 pro drivers ahead of you, 7th spot. I have to say, when you started the season, if somebody offered you 7th spot, would you bit their hand off for it?
I don't even think it would have been possible after the NTM5 came, because nobody wanted to drive the car at first. It was looking to be a surefire way for a pro license this season. Nobody was competing, but after the MTM5 came, and we all had to really up our game quite a bit because we've had quite a few good drivers just come out of nowhere. Rasmus Talley, I don't know where he came from, but just after he got out of the bottom splits, he's been quite a show.
Yeah, obviously we were talking about Rasmus earlier, Formula Sim racing driver, used to compete at the sharp end there, so he's not a new guy as far as these top racing events go, so he's going to be one to watch out for in the Pro Series. I just wanted to say congratulations again, Frank. Thanks for popping in every week like you've done as well, so one of the few drivers that have come in for an interview, so it makes our job all the more rewarding when drivers come in and spend the time just to have a little interview as well at the end of the race.
Gives people a reason to watch that commercial you put up.
Oh, indeed it does. Well, thanks again, mate. Enjoy your week off, and we will see you for the 2013 Pro Series.
Thanks. Do you mind if I give a quick shout out?
You go for it, mate.
Okay. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the ARC team. I'm not sure if anyone listening is aware, but got a deal going on with them at the moment where you can get 5% off your purchase at the ARC team's page. Type in friction as your coupon code. There's more details on our site, friction-racing.org.
Alright, mate. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, go check it out. I did manage to get on the other day. I know we had a chat about that, so I had a good old look. So it all looks quite interesting. Again,
I'll see.
Congrats. Yep. Enjoy the week off, and we'll see you soon.
Get Spa.
Indeed.
Turn 1. Right, Alex, just before we drag Dean up, should we have a quick run through the standings, since it seems to have all updated everything correctly now? Run through what we believe possibly to be those pro qualifiers?
Indeed, let's do just that. Let's I brought it up on screen as well so everybody else can see what we're looking at, but it's a bit small for me, Lisa. I wondered if you can
That's fine, I
just
can
run through
look after it, that's absolutely fine. So, provisional results, the something quirky could possibly happen to the table, but also drivers need to be approved by iRacing before they officially receive their black stripes, and we don't know exactly how many there are going to be. But at the minute, Kazuki Mishima, championship winner in the FW31 for Season 3, congratulations to him. 6 wins from the season, and he has scored 1,911 points. That's an amazing average for an 8-week count. Samuel De La Fuente did get that second position, 3 wins for him during the season. Just 14 points behind in the end, so 1,897 points. Just looking at the blue guys, remember, ignore the black ones. So position 3, who's that strange person? That'll be Lee Thompson then in 3rd place. I'll take that very much, thank you. 1 Solitaire in, which was at Indianapolis. Just behind was Michel Cesini, who I've not seen, I don't think, running this week, in 4th place. Rafa Bordoy then in 5th. Rasmus Tally in 6th. Frank Levick got that 7th position as we've discussed with him. 8th position, Paolo Accurso from Mivana Racing. Where are we up to now? 9th, sorry, are we next?
Yep.
9th, LJ Garnett. Thank you, I have to try and keep track of different numbers. 9th, LJ Garnett. 10th then, as we said, was Christian Tanahato, also from Friction Racing, so congratulations to him. And then the question marks after that. So 11th, Javier Jose Martinez Arrieta, with Matt Hannigan then in 12th, Mohamed Patel in 13th, Jorge Montanez in 15th. We kind of think those guys looking definitely okay, and then it becomes a little bit more of a question mark from sort of 16th down. So Richard Avery holds that 16th spot, Justin Lindsay of Apex Racing UK in 17th, and then right on the very bubble, are they going to get in or not? Matthias Eckstein 18th, and our very own, again, Apex ARL TV member, Dean Prescott in 19th position. We think that's the very last potential spot if he's extra lucky. It's probably going to be a little bit too much to ask, but we shall see. You have to keep an eye on the forums in iRacing for any updates as to exactly who does get those black stripes.
Exactly, I'm sure the guys will be on there really quickly to say whether or not they've got them. We haven't got long to wait, obviously only a week, so iRacing won't have the luxury of sort of 2 or 3 weeks, as we've seen in the past few seasons, to get those licenses sorted out. So wouldn't be surprised if we don't know by, say, Wednesday this week. I'm sure Shannon, if he's watching the stream, which I severely doubt, it'll be like that bloody Alex again is assuming things. So yeah, apologies for doing that on the forum. And yeah,
but like I said, people have got to be
information,
knowing whether they've got to prepare for Spa or not, haven't they? So I think you're right. People are going to get the news quite quick, and then people can start cracking on.
Yeah, so everybody really that are in those spots, they need to keep their eye out on not only the Class A forum, but they also need to keep an eye out on the Pro Series forum as well. They're also, there is a locked one that for pro-only drivers that might just appear out of nowhere. So again, go in there, check it out. Occasionally, official statements get put in there. So if you're one of those drivers that are in a potential spot for Pro Series, don't forget to check all those areas. There's no reason really to miss it. So, but yeah, Lee, thank you for joining me today. It's actually been quite a great race. Kazuki throw that curveball. Yeah, like you say, it's been a pretty fantastic season. I mean, I think this is the first time we've covered all 12 races of the season as well. So, big shout out to everybody that's helped me this season as well. So Dean Prescott being the main commentator. I mean, Dean, he's obviously down there waiting to have a little chat with us. But
yeah, should we drag him up very quickly?
Yeah, let's grab him up, as I'm going to pay him a compliment anyway. But yeah, like I say, Dean, a driver that had the potential to go for a pro, but he stood back through most of the races, most of the big strength of field races, so we could commentate on it as well. So, I think everybody needs to give him a little bit of a shout out and thank him for contributing to the community in that, and perhaps sacrificing his chance for a pro license as well. So, but yeah, you know, Lee, thanks for helping out as well with the videos and things like that you've done that have helped the community this year and jumping into this race. I'll pat myself on the back as well. I think Conrad was in helping out, and Andrew Woodhouse as well. So there's been quite a few faces. Marcus,
And
Caton,
Marcus as well.
yeah, another one. So there's been a few faces in here as well. So it's yeah, it's great actually that a few people are willing to help out, and I look forward to seeing what we can put together for the Pro Series. Dean, thanks for popping up, mate. Obviously you made it into the second split. Do you want to just tell us how your race went over there?
Started from 4th. Sam Kumo directly right in front of me. So before the race, Sam said if I make a bad start, go inside. So he made that bad start, so I jumped inside and got up to second straight away. Thomas Schmidt, one of the quickest guys, to be honest, in that second split. Quite surprised he's not made it into the top split just yet, but he was rapid and straight off, made a few mistakes. I caught him back up and got the pass on him. Led for 21 laps and then he got himself back past me. And then I was just trying to maintain the gap back to Colin Cunniff and Sam chasing back up. Had a little spin in turn 3, which let Colin and Sam back past. And then it was just qualifying mode from there out. Caught back up to Sam and Colin. I think Sam had a little spin just before the back straight. So I got back past Sam, and then it was just chasing down Colin. And having a little chat just after the race with Colin because I pipped him on the exit of the final chicane. He actually run out of fuel, so he was a little bit gutted about that one.
Yeah, we had a similar finish here actually in the top split, but his teammate Frank Levick just managed to hold on to it.
Just to correct actually Lee as well, I don't think he had the updated table. I'm actually in 18th at the minute. There's 6 pros in front of me and I'm 24th, so fingers crossed, toes crossed, everything else crossed. Be scraping the bottom of that barrel, but
yeah, we're not entirely sure, are we, on how many people are gonna get given them. So, but you know, when we pulled you up, we were basically thanking you for really coming up here, sacrificing. Because let's be honest, the biggest race of the week with the most points available, and the biggest splits where you know you can score good points all the way through the grid are these 7 o'clock races. And pretty much every week you've took the time out to do the broadcast. So you know, I want to say thank you now on the air for doing that as well. So yeah, it's great for you to do that.
No, it's not a problem. Thank you for having me.
Well,
and again from us, Alex, say thank you for being here every single one of those 12 weeks, I believe, working the cameras as well as commentary most days. Doing that double job is a little bit challenging.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Alex.
Yeah, no problem. Right, well thanks for everybody tuning in. This was indeed the final round of the Road to Pro series, season 3 as well, so the very, very last one we do. Like I said, all being well, as long as iRacing doesn't put a block on there, we will be back for the Pro Series, trying to cover these races as well as we possibly can do, just so there's something there for the community to tune into. But from myself, Dean and Lee, we wish you farewell for a season, and good luck in season 4 and whatever it may be that you do.